Welcome everybody. We have our special um, pension and CTA retiree action meeting. This is the first one that I've organized, and we are recording this for those who are not able to attend or um, are having technical difficulties. Maybe let's just jump right into this. Our our pension is something that a lot of us don't understand. And so I want to, hopefully, this will jump to the website. Kathy, do you see the CTA website load up the
I am
screen?
doing this on my phone.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
I'm
yeah.
gonna I'm gonna just
Oh, but what I do see is a list of resources, and I believe if I
yeah,
clicked on one of those things, I would get it.
okay, okay. And then what I'm gonna do is actually go. I can share the window that I'm looking at. All right, and you should see that. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. It's just a little technical thing I had to figure out. Um, so this is the CTA retirement website. Now, when it comes up, I highly recommend that whenever you look at this, if it says subscribe to our newsletter, put your email address in there and do it because the way it's designed, it's not easy to figure out how to subscribe to the newsletter. So as soon as you see it, make sure you subscribe, whether you're retired or you're working. It is very important, and you'll thank me later after you do that. All right. Now the website, oops, has everything, just about everything you want to know about the retirement. It's called the retirement plan. Pension is just another word for the retirement plan. And then it also has information on the retiree healthcare trust. All right. Now that's a whole nother topic. But for now, I want you, we're going to focus on the retirement plan. Um, and the website is there for you to explore. We're not necessarily going to explore it in this video. The second resource is the pension code. So, the pension code is another word for the, um, let me close that there. My old template has, oh my goodness. Give me a second here. Okay, pension code. And now that you can get that on the website as well. But the reason why I put the link there separately is because it is actually part of state law. All right. And as it says here, this was negotiated between the old ATU locals when it was the Amalgamated Association of Street, Electric Railway, and Motor Coach Employees, and the various uh, companies, separate companies that formed the Chicago Transit Authority. All right, and when you click on, I highly recommend you click on that PDF. And when you do that, I'm going to share that screen. You're going to get this booklet. Now, at the local 308 membership meeting and possibly local, I think the local 241 as well, these were distributed. Now, our last membership meeting, we didn't have the quorum and the president didn't want to talk to us. And so, but we did have the um, these booklets that they brought. So this has been amended through June of 2024. Exactly what was amended, I'm still trying to figure that out. Um, but this gives you the definitions of our pension, who participates in it, who can, how to benefit from it, if you need to get money out of it. Um, and it gives a little bit of history. Now, I jump right back to our um, slides. And so, like I said, in the website, if you visited the website for the first time in a while, it's going to give you the pop up for the newsletter. Please subscribe to that. The other link I provide is called "Will Pensions Break Chicago's Budget?" Now, our pension is not a city of Chicago contrivance. Okay, it's not it's not a Chicago pension. Okay, we are employees in Chicago and we work and live. Some of us live in Chicago, but it is not a city of Chicago um, bargained for or negotiated pension. However, what I found so great about this podcast is that it gives you an understanding of what the health of a pension is about. And the state of Illinois ranks the lowest in the pensions nationwide regarding funding levels. And we're talking, 50%, around 50% funding levels, which is unsustainable. But this podcast, I think it's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's really worth listening to on your own time. All right. I'm going to go to the next item. So let's get the pulse of the pension. I just mentioned that there's a funding problem. Um, and a great way to get an understanding of that is to read the annual reports and digging deeper into the actuarial valuations. So I'm going to go jump there for you, and we're going to share that screen. And good. And these audits on the website are posted all the way back to 2001. Let's go to 2023. And then I'm going to switch to that screen. And I'm doing this not so much to just show you how to do stuff, but to kind of make a point of what's there and how it shows the facts that we should use when trying to solve or identify problems and solve them. Um, it gives you the auditor's introduction and how they went about the audit and other issues. And right here, let me see if I can close this sidebar. There we go. Um, Tells you what the value is. All right. And this is a real important right here. What I want you to pay attention to is the funding levels. All right. So as of the 2023 audit, okay, we're talking 54% fund, 54.39, right? And it was 54.29 before that, and compared to 54.99 December 31st. Now, I want to show you a little history here. This isn't necessarily, all right, I'm going to do a quick screen change for you. Now, this is a great little document. It's also a PowerPoint, and I try to give this to um, coworkers whenever I can make enough copies. I make a lot of copies with my own resources. But anyways, this goes back to 2012, but it's focused more so on the why the healthcare trust, but it deals with the pension because the healthcare trust and the pension are related. But I want to show you funding levels. So in the overview, up until the mid 80s, our pension was 100% funded, and sometimes over 100% funded. All right. And it was one of the strongest in the nation. And we won't get into the reasons why or why not right now. But then watch these levels. Look at these levels here. So contribution history is very interesting. Um, June of 1948, employees contributed 1%, the CTA contributed 1%. So you got your 1% taken out of your check to go to your pension. The CTA puts 1% into your pension. So for every dollar, you're going to get something from the CTA. You're going to get a dollar. More or less, more or less. June 1949 starts to go up. 50, 51. We start to see a doubling between the employee and the CTA. Now we of course we don't have charts of where the market is going, the stock market, the bonds market, the real estate market. So we had 1970, we really started to see it climb. 7% for the employee, 14% for the CTA. So they're doubling. All right. So it's becoming sweet. All right. But it's still kind of high right there, especially for back then. And all of a sudden, for 4 years, we have a holiday. A holiday. Some deal was made between the union leadership and the CTA. So no one would contribute. Oh, Kathy, go ahead.
Oh, here. I was gonna say, in the 70s, 68, 69 into the 70s, that's when the strike was. And there was a strike, a small strike wave across the country, like the postal workers. And I don't know when the New York City subway went on strike, but anyway, I believe the strike we had here, or the two strikes, contributed to that 7%. And then the reason why they had the holiday, in my opinion, I don't have written proof, but I bet we could find it. The union agreed to that crap, and so that's why
They
that
had
happened.
to. Yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
They had to because the leadership,
Oh.
right, is the leash on the workers. So the workers are militant naturally. I mean, you can't, even at work, nobody really likes the management. Nobody. I mean, unless they're seeking favor, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
they're they're like giving them stuff and talking and chatting with them and backslapping and joking with them and drinking beers and hanging out with each other, dancing or whatever the hell they do. But generally, it's the union leadership that is responsible for this kind of stuff, these concessions. Um,
Absolutely.
and the last strike was in the last official Wildcat strike
Oh, right.
was in 79.
Oh, right, right.
That was during this so-called pension holiday, right?
Mm-hmm.
68 was a wildcat um, to deal with the uh, the black CTA workers had been discriminated against blatantly by the majority white union leadership, um, and they had enough and made that happen. um, the 81, it comes back. 82 to 84, We got nothing. It says
Mhm.
footnote two. The February 1982 extension agreement. Sound familiar? Extension? They like extensions, don't they? Remember?
Mhm.
Remember we had our 4% contract extension? Yeah. Yeah, just this summer, right? It's unprecedented. It's historic. All lies. All lies. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that you said that the black CTA workers went on strike because of the union, the white union leadership treating them. Well, it's mighty funny that we got all black leaders and union leadership, and we still got the same issue with them treating the workers bad.
Yeah. And they make
So,
us at local 241 and 308, they make us walk through the back door. They make us walk through the alley.
yeah,
All of us. I see a fellow retiree, Erwin Bill Davis is on too.
Oh,
And he knows, all right, calm down, Kathy. Bill and I, we went to a membership meeting and he came to town. He doesn't live in Illinois anymore. But he came and visited, and we went to the membership meeting, and we saw a sign on the door. It said, "Enter through the back." So we entered through the back. So we see what it is here. It's now the membership. It's plainly clear. It's the membership. It's the leadership versus the membership. They've drawn the line, and by selling us out, we're looking at the history here, and we have to just admit that, great, okay, fine. We got majority black and Latino leadership, majority black leadership in the ATU Chicago, and that has not made any kind of difference for the totality of the CTA workers. Does that mean having all black leadership uh, is the cause of the problem? No. And I do hear people say that if we had, white folks running it, it wouldn't be that bad. Well, that's what we had before. It's not about, okay, I'm this shade or I'm this ethnic group or I'm this color, I'm this race, whatever you want to call it. It is, I care about my coworkers as well as myself. That's what it is. And making sure that we get the proper wages and working conditions and hold the company to that agreement. Okay. 1983 to 84, 0%. 1984 to 85, 0%. Okay, so you understand that if nobody's contributing to the pension, the CTA isn't and we aren't. What is the consequences of not investing? Any any takers in the group here? If we're not contributing anything for years, for 5 years, 6 years, what's going to happen to our investment? We have a house. You have a house. I have a house or apartment, and we just say, you know what? The plumbing's going out, electricity's going out, paint paint is chipping, the windows broke. You're not going to be able to live in that place anymore. Eventually, it's going to collapse. That's what we have here. All right, 1985, CTA is going to give three. We're going to give zero. Now, see, look at that. There's no. So the CTA management said, you know what? Tell you what, buddy. Well, you don't have to put in anything. We'll put in something for this year. Really? Let's look at the footnote for that. An arbitration. That was a part of an arbitration award. God, I'd love to dig that up. It says that you got to understand whenever we're in as union workers and retirees um, actually pay a lot for this. They're paying a lot for this. When we rely on the arbitrator to make the decision, it takes us out of the equation. And then we are bound to that arbitrator. If we, as the members, decide, no, we're not going to take what the arbitrator says, we're going to do it our way, we can do that. There will be consequences for that. But if we're united, we can bear that burden. But we do need to be consistent. Either we're going to be a union that fights for the members, or we're going to be a union that doesn't fight and lets an arbitrator, let someone else decide what we're going to do. A lawyer, a judge, whatever. You really can't have it both ways. It's historically, it's never worked. 1988, here we are back to what was in the 50s through the 70s, basically 2.5% to 7.5. 88 to 93. We're getting close to the end, and you'll see why I'm calling it the end. 3% in the CTA gives 10.5. 94 to 95, 0-0. Another party time, I guess. 95, just within 95, it changes to 1% to 2%. In 95 to 2003, what I call the end begins. And it really starts to climb. And I say the end because that's when manager Jerry Williams uh, destroyed the conductor craft and helped break open our union for permanent part-time jobs, which was this CSA program. Much later, of course, up to 2014. That happened in 2014. But all of that started to crack open by getting rid of the conductors, two-person crews, and working to death a motorman. All right, making the motorman do the job of 2 and 3 people and more. 3% versus 6%, all the way to 2003. 3% to 6% to 2006. 6% to 12%. So that means the funding level goes down. When the funding level goes down, the contribution level, the contribution level has to go up because the pension fund is being underfunded. You see that. You see that. So they're killing the job thanks to manager Jerry Williams and others and all his prodigy, who we are stuck with now. We have Penny, Mark, Dixon, Keith Hill. Keith Hill was 241, but they had their legacy related to the same old business unionist mentality. Ken Franklin was an outlier, but he fell in line. Bob Kelly, um, Harris, he helped the full-time temporary flagman open that up, and now they're using that. That's the only way to work at the CTA rail as an operator is to come through the full-time temporary flagman position. I mean, it's just despicable. And for 1 year, while these people come in, 1 year or more, they are not contributing to the pension. And therefore, when you aren't contributing to the pension, or I'm not contributing, CTA doesn't contribute. 2010 to 2011, 8% to 16%. 2012 to present, which would be when this slideshow came out, 17%. So in 2021, we were at 12 versus 24%. All right. And right now, the actuarial tables, let's see. Does this give it? Because I think we got to go to the actuarial tables um, to get exactly where we're at. But right now, the active employees are putting in about 13 something percent. All right. And we're crying. It hurts. It does hurt. All right. Let's go to I'm going to jump to this PowerPoint back here real quick. Um, we have another way is the quarterly reports. Now, quarterly reports are not as detailed, but they are useful. I'll show you that real quick. Um, huh, not showing up on my end for something to share. It stinks. Okay. Well, anyways, I don't know why I'm not seeing it. All right. So, anyways, the pension board meetings and the meeting minutes. Now, meeting minutes are really cool for you to look at because you can see what the members of the pension board are talking about, and you can also view the meetings. You can attend the meetings. They're doing pretty much everything virtually now. So I'm going to show you the meeting minutes. So um, let's go to 2024 June, and there you go. There's everyone that showed up, and there's our favorite local 241 and local 308 people. You could see who said what the reports were, whole business. You never know what you'll find here. Sometimes you'll find real selfish stuff too. Anyways, go back to slideshow. All right, now, why do I got to get rid of that? Okay. Um, so how did we get here? Years of underfunding and abuse. Corporate greed, plain and simple. And that's a national problem. That's an international problem. It's because the pension, when you look at the quarterly reports, they break down exactly where the money's invested. And it's all based in the international economy. The local, some of the local and national, but pretty much international. All right. Debt obligations. We have rating agencies that rate the bonds, that rate the cities for their municipal bonds for more debt in order to finance projects, finance uh, whatever it is that's on the table. And then, especially locally, but again, this is a national problem. It's the part-time temporary and full-time temporary jobs. These part-time jobs were never meant for people to work at and make a living, but now they are. And our union leadership forced this stuff down our throats. And at the CTA, these part-time temporary and full-time temporary jobs have increased the defunding of our pension. And that has increased the defunding of our communities where these CTA workers live. we have now two generations of CTA workers in part-time jobs. We're talking about people who hired on part-time, were stuck in part-time pretty much, and then have children that work at the CTA who are in part-time. You say, well, man, it's just a couple of years that they did it, but that's a couple of years not in the pension. Remember the graph that I showed you, how the the participation, the contribution, how we went from over 100% funding levels in the 60s to now we're in the 2020s and we're at 50% funding level. So every year that a man or woman is stuck in a CTA part-time job, that's 1 year of no contributions to our pension from them nor our employer. So you saw those years where there was no contributions from anybody. All right, next. Now, the problems that we've heard are real basic. And this is where we're going to start to open it up to discussion, and I can go in there and make some edits too. Number one, retirees. The cost of living for them is incredibly high, and very few years of life for some of them who work a lot of overtime to bring up their quote unquote average. Because they want to live comfortably, so they work 80-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks at the end so that they'll get a higher check. But some aren't really living that long. So what difference did it make? And then we have the currently working people. They need a break. The deductions are extremely high, and the retirement age is through the roof. You 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 you're talking, you're going to be almost 70 years old for these youngsters that are coming in now. Even if they come in straight up full time, they've got it. There's no such thing as 26 years. They have to have 26 years and an age, and their age has to be, I forgot what it is now, but I have to look again. I pardon my rustiness, but it's not right.
I know what it is.
What is it?
65.
There you go.
Gotta have age 65 and you gotta have 26 years to get your full pension. And these young people that's in their late 20s and early 30s, they're not gonna want to drive a bus for 40 years.
40 years. 25 years old. Let's say you get hired as a bus operator, a trackman. 40 years? No. And so this is destroying our pension when I say we have to save our pension. Are there any other problems that you all want to talk about? Retirees, active?
I thought of something, a question. Um, First of all, what percentage of the paycheck is being taken out for pension now? And number two, even before I retired, which was in 2018, a lot of the younger people, they were really complaining a lot about the pension. And I know that when I got hired, the pension was one of the things I was most excited about. But people don't seem to be so glad that they're in a pension plan. Well, I guess that's because the union gave away so much stuff. Got to retire when you're 65 before you can collect a pension. And so I guess that's probably why people they're ready to say, I'll take the money now. That's what I've heard them say.
Yep. They say I'll
And
invest it, and they're willing to invest it themselves and take that risk. Like,
yeah, that's a hell of a risk.
yeah.
It's a hell of a risk.
You get some
But
Bitcoin.
we're not gonna get any, the retirees aren't gonna get a raise if the active members don't fight for it or don't strike. Well, so that's quite a ways to go, I think.
Well, right now we're at almost 14% deduction.
For the pension?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, yep. Just about to hit it.
Well, that's a lot.
And we're 54% funded. So the law is 60% less. You got to increase it every year until you get above 60%. So it's going to go up again.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah. So people are pissed and
mm,
they want to leave. Um, and then yeah, there's not a lot of excitement because why should there be if I got to work here, you know, 40 years? 40 years to get the full 100% pension?
hmm.
No, it's not possible. It's very few people can do it.
Right, right,
Even a clerk, I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot of time. A payroll clerk, a combination clerk, generally, you know, they're inside, they're just one little office. There's not a whole lot of physical strain, but that's still a lot, you know?
right.
Um, so let's see. You go to the next one. All right, now. Hmm. There we go. Okay. So solutions and action. So here we are. We're like I said, this is just the first meeting of what I hope I would like to do, once in a while, at least once a year or something, maybe once every couple months. That would be ideal. But some of the solutions that I think exist are what we had. So it's not necessarily we got to invent anything new. And that's what I hear a lot. When I hear, you know, Vice President Weems talk about their different formulas and contrivances and actuarial hypso calypso mumbo jumbo. No, stop trying to make something out of nothing. We have to go back to what we had. So, number one, it's full time jobs for all. Full time. You're hired, you're full time. Stay clean because the drug test is coming. Follow the rules, whatever. And if they don't cut it, they don't cut it. They can try again next year. Free healthcare. Right now, as it stands with our health plan, it's with the deductible, with the um, scheduling that we have, the 24-hour operation. We're effectively discouraged from using our healthcare. It should be free. Make it free. And then that can tie into a bigger picture. All of these things, these solutions are actually beyond the Chicago Transit Authority. It's our whole city, it's our whole state, it's the whole United States of America. It's called Medicare for All. The formulas exist. And the formula is no insurance companies. That's simple. You got a middleman or a middle person, whatever you want to call it. Get rid of them. I remember when we were getting really close to the so-called Medicare for All public option. And then here come the lobbyists from the insurance company rewriting the Affordable Health Care Act. I read the whole thing. I'll never forget. That's back in 2009 or something. And they said, this act will, as it is written, will destabilize the health insurance industry. It was blatantly written in the law. It was incredible. But these corporations are just sucking our blood. They're taking our money. Okay. Increase ridership. We have a public transportation system that the public fears. And one way to increase ridership, you give them a pass, it's like a library card, and you ride where you need to go. Now, when you got full-time jobs for all, you got free health care. Right away, each one of these stages sets us up for a stronger pension and a more stable society. Because right away, when you're thinking free ride, oh my God, there'd be all these homeless people. Wait a minute. Why are people homeless? Why? Talk to these people. I bet maybe some of y'all who look at this recording maybe had homelessness. It's because we don't have good jobs that pay. We don't have affordable health care. And Kathy says, we'll never be able to vote in free health care for all, full-time jobs for all. Hold on, Kathy. You're jumping ahead. That's called action.
Okay.
we haven't gotten there.
Okay.
Redirection of tax revenue to invest in our jobs, vehicles, and facilities. Again, we're using the CTA where we work, where you used to work, retirees, as a microcosm of the bigger picture. And you redirect the tax rate. What redirect it from where? How? Where's the money coming from? $1 trillion has been and is being spent right now to bomb people who you'll never know. Never. You will never meet these people. You probably don't even know their language. Maybe they'll tell you they're terrorists or savages, whatever. Oh, it's an enemy. But you don't know them. But they're being bombed daily with drones and missiles. It's not necessary. It doesn't make you safer because all the money's going there and there's nothing for our jobs, nothing for our health care, nothing for our public transportation. We can't get anywhere without a car. Hopefully, you got a good bike or a couple good bikes. But this is all what is causing us to lose our pensions. It all contributes to this. So we need these solutions. Because if we can bail out the countries that are bombed with our military, or bail out corporations right here, transnational corporations, then we can bail out pensions. I just showed you. Yeah, there was a lot of malfeasance. Well, we need a bailout. Well, you can't get it. You don't deserve it. The rest of us don't have it. See, brother Eric, everyone's against us CTA workers. They think we have too much. We make too much. Well, that's because you're thinking about just yourself. You're not saying, let's talk to everybody. Action. Kathy.
Yeah.
Never, never, ever. You tell me, has there ever been a moment in history where the kings said, okay, everybody, here's what you need. Here's your homes and your education, your schools, your health care. Did they ever grant us anything?
No, not the kings, not the politicians, not the
No.
bankers. Not the
But
corporate.
wait a minute, Kathy, if we elect them though, it's different, right?
No, they don't even work for us. They're paid off. They're paid off by the people with the big money.
Wait a minute. So you mean the Democrats too?
Yep.
Ah,
Yep.
and the Republicans?
Yep.
Ah, well, what if, Kathy, maybe we should just make a third party, a Labor Party.
Well,
We'll have our own lobbyists.
well, I think the main thing that we have to win people to is that we have to fight in the streets for everything we get. Because no matter if we have a third party and we're still voting, that means that the corporate leaders, the bankers, the millionaires and the billionaires, they're still owning everything. They're still controlling everything. They're the ones that really have the power. So,
And we will never have the money
right.
or the capital to outspend these corporations.
Right. And when we do get some reforms, like say after the anti-racist civil rights movement here in the USA or the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, eventually the ruling class takes all that stuff back. You can see it with our pension and the school to prison pipeline, the creation of all these part-time jobs and low wages. They've rolled back the hands of time.
And right here at the CTA, we have a perfect example. It's called the Second Chance Program.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the membership, you were there,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there, but you were there, and people said, you know what, it's great that people get it. People, anybody can have a chance to work at the CTA, no matter what their record is. But it's a part-time job, 40 hours a week, no benefits, no pension, no guarantee that they're going to get full-time after any amount of time, just 12 months and poof, you're gone or not, depending if the manager likes you. And then the international president, may he rest in peace, Hanley, said, well, I know y'all voted it down, but we're going to let it go in, right? I got that right, right, Kathy?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Correct me
that's
if
what
I'm
happened.
wrong.
No,
Okay.
that's what happened.
And so now, fast forward to today, the 2024, our pension is 54% funded. The retirees have no raise. The excuse is, well, it's a state law. It's a state law. It's a state law. It's a state law. We have to go downstate. We have to go downstate. We got to go talk with Pritzker and who else, whatever else that is down there, and Trump and whoever, and beg them, right? And then we're going to get it. We're going to get a raise for the retirees, right? No. Mass action. Number one. That's the action. Mass action. And we saw it done in 1877. We saw it done in 1888. We saw it done throughout the 1900s. We had the mine workers. By the way, that was one of the original black jobs. And the black miners organized their mines. And many of the poor white people said, hey, can we come? And they said, come on. And then it exploded. They started, what was his name? I forgot the name of the UMW president's name. Ah. But anyways, um, the miners became some of the most militant, successful workers with unions.
Fighting with guns.
They had standoffs,
Yep.
trenches. men, women, and children. They paid a price. And it got to the point that in the 1930s and the 40s, the politicians realized, right, Kathy? They said, wow, we're not getting a lot done here. There's a lot of people dying in the streets. And the companies, their profits are they're getting upset with the people, but they're killing their workers. And we're getting complaints from them. And, well, we need to get the money going. So everybody has to have a union.
Hmm.
National Labor Relations Board was born. And there was a slogan: FDR wants everyone to join a union.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. President Roosevelt says every man should join a union. And he set it up. That's what we have dues check off, Kathy.
Okay.
Because the union, the president and the NLRB, it had a different name before it was NLRB, and then it became NLRB, but the predecessor of it. And they said, well, check this out, union, your people, they elect you to be president. You tell them, I said, the company has to have a union, and you guys have to elect your union leadership, and you can have something called dues check off. They're like, what's that? You won't have to collect dues anymore. The employer will pay you your dues. And the whole thing of a union steward was all about meeting the workers and say, hey, how's it going? How they treating you? You got your dues this month? And they'd be like, yeah, they're treating us pretty bad. I really don't feel like paying dues today. Well, why? What's wrong? Yeah, the boss said this and he did that. Oh, okay. All right. What are we gonna do about it? Let's go march on the boss. They say, okay. But now the union leadership just gets the money.
Mhm.
And then they tell the workers, well, you should be grateful you have a job. And then the employer says, you know what, this pension is getting kind of expensive. Can I have a break? Uh, okay, thanks. And then they tell the members, hey, everybody, we got this great historic deal. You're not going to have to contribute to your pension this year. Isn't that nice? You're like, oh, okay. All right, great. So electoral politics is nice. Now, Kathy, I know you don't vote. I do vote, but I keep my vote to myself. And I understand its limitations. But it's very limited. It is not the way to fight for what we want. Retirees, begging the politicians is not going to work. It's not. It doesn't work. Well, we got the retiree healthcare trust down from 3% to 1%. Okay, well, it's overfunded. It's met its goals. So they're not giving us anything. Okay? It's the pension that we need to focus on. We have to fund this pension so that y'all don't have to be like Kathy and have to move out of town because you can't afford the rent. Kathy, right?
Right, right. Oh, and plus, so for everybody, the pension, it
What's
just
that?
shrinks over time because inflation keeps going up.
Hmm?
It's never going back down to where those prices were before. Gas will never be $1 a gallon, I don't think. So the pension
Yeah.
shrinks.
None of this happens without the masses rising up. And we're not talking about one craft walking out for a day. I mean, that's part of the evolution of mass action, but we're talking general strikes. We're talking about general strikes. We're talking about entire cities, states, and nations. And fellow retirees and active workers, co-workers, you're seeing strikes, you're seeing the longshoremen, you're seeing the auto workers, you're seeing these nurses over here and warehouse workers for Amazon over there. These are things that we should applaud and be happy for, but the hotel workers in Las Vegas, but we are losing and we will lose our pension. It will, it will evaporate if we do not join with the other union workers and coordinate our action. And I leave you with this American with Disability Act, 1991 something. This is a law and it can be reversed. It can be. And many municipalities, companies blatantly ignore it. CTA. We have talking about the 1990-91. I forgot the year. The CTA is not in compliance with the law. And you know how they get away with it? They just, whatever fines there are, whatever fees, they pay it. That's the only way to get around it and not look bad. But I'm sure there's other things and other companies that do the same thing. But in order to get that law, people had to lay down in the streets, literally. Had to be persistent action. ADA has made life so much easier for people who live here. I mean, elevators, ramps, doors that open by themselves, railings. These things are because of that law, but that law exists because people like us sacrificed. But again, like Kathy said, how is it that you can vote or get politicians to pass laws and yet they can still get away with not following those laws or reversing them? We have various rights in the contract at the CTA, but the CTA blatantly violates it. I'll give you an example. Article 16, that deals with grievance arbitration procedure. It clearly states in the first paragraph that the authority will resolve disputes between the worker and management at the work site. Earnestly resolve these disputes. How many of you retirees that ever had to deal with management and union watched the union person sit there as the management wrote you up and just gave it to you and said, yeah, we're going to give you a 1 day suspension or blah, blah, blah. Here's a verbal warning, whatever, blah, blah, blah. A safety violation, blah, blah, blah. Excessive absenteeism, blah, blah, blah. And the union person just sat there. Or the union person said, what the hell is this? This ain't just. And then the manager said, I just grave it. It stands. They're violating the contract. They're not earnestly trying to resolve the dispute. They're saying, here, take the hit, and hopefully an arbitrator will take care of you. And then we, the union officials, get together once a month to decide who lives and dies according to an arbitrator, not according to us. Mass action. Well, I was hoping we'd have more participation, but I'm so glad to have at least 2 in 3. But now we're down to 2 others. But I think this message is going to go out to more than that. And so, we'll make this public. And any other comments that any of you wanted to make?
Oh, I'm trying to get my speaker. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
I was just gonna say, About the voting thing, I know there are people who don't believe in politicians, but they still vote. I think perhaps maybe you can add something to this, Eric. Maybe people vote because they're thinking just in case it'll make a difference. But the way things are set up, it's never gonna make a difference for a difference for the good, for the most vulnerable amongst us, and even for our whole class, because the ruling class always takes back these reforms. It never fails. And did you know now I'm going to stop after this. This is a figure that I found when Bob Kelly was in office. So I guess around 2012, but I bet you it was available before then. Wages bought more in 1970 than they do today. So
Yes.
that means that so much of what was won during the civil rights movement has been rolled back. I think more Black people are probably in jail today than were in jail in the 60s. I'm not sure about that, but I wouldn't be surprised. So it's 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 like when people vote, it 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 encourages people to believe in capitalism, to believe that we can make capitalism work. The Democrats can make it work for us, but and then like you mentioned about the war, people are dying all over the world. And a lot of it we're not seeing, we're not being made aware of. And it's so sad to think that so many of our brothers and sisters, neighbors, friends, relatives, they don't really care about, well, other people around the world, or they can just kind of swallow it. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's I can speak for myself. Um, I am tested all the time. I do consider not even bothering to vote, and I did so with our own union election. So I was so pissed, that not a single person running for office said anything when we had that yellow line crash, which was totally preventable,
Oh,
totally preventable. You know what I mean? And I was the only one speaking out about it, and no one
yeah.
would speak up. And I was like, I'm running for office with these people, and forget it. I ain't even gonna vote. And if I make it, if someone votes me in, they vote me in. They voted me in anyways. But I so this last election, I have to tell you, um, as far as the president came, it was a I I had no how can I say, without revealing how I voted, but I just didn't care. Um, but it was judges. I had to say it was judges and that
Mhm.
referenda that compelled me to vote because I see what these. I know there's some judges that have been merciful to
Uh-huh.
to those who mess up or get caught up. Yet I know there are some that are just no good. And the system, like you said, is rotten. But if we have some people there trying to do something, it's kind of like me. I'm in ATU Local 308 as a revolutionary unionist, the only one. But I'm amongst snakes and thieves and death and lava pits and stuff. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't make much of a difference, anything I say or do. But I'm there to try. So, speaking personally, um, I vote very much educated. Like my wife and I spent hours going through the judges, hours. I mean, 2 days setting hours aside to go through all these judges and scrutinize all of them. Did it make a difference? I don't know. We certainly learned a lot. So it was educational. It was enlightening. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. And you're trying to organize people to fight back. So even if you vote, which I do disagree with, but that's not the only thing you're doing. You're trying to fight back and organize other people to fight back. And so that's the most important part of that relationship. You're trying to organize people to fight.
That's what we got to do, right? I mean,
Right.
because we got to believe in other people and their power and just keep encouraging them and never give up on them. Because like you said, it's gotten to the point where there's so many people that don't care. It's overwhelming.
Hmm.
So we have to care more than people who don't care, and that's taxing to the soul. But Kathy, you know it. We've worked together now for a couple of years now at this. You meet one person, maybe two, but man, that just makes your day when you watch them start to transform, right?
Right.
That just brings you up. That's worth all the suffering, because you're seeing somebody do something brave and bold, you know, or at least they want to do it and they start to do it, and you just kind of fan the flames and hope.
Right. Well, even though sometimes it seems like time isn't on our side, I do believe that things are going to reach a point where more people are going to say, there's no more choices. We have to fight. We have to fight for a better world for ourselves, our children, and humanity
Yes,
around the world.
yes. Go ahead, Robert.
Uh, yeah, Eric, I just want to applaud you for voting on those judges because when I looked at my ballot, I said, "There's no way I'm going to be voting for 50 judges. Who, who, who's gonna take the time to research, especially if it's just them and no other candidate. I'm not voting for judges. And the ones that do have a competitor, uh, I don't even waste my time on those because it's so many they want you to pick from. It's like a half a sheet of judges. And I
Yeah,
feel like,
yeah.
you know, I feel like you got to do your research on these people, and it's just not enough time in the world to do research on 100 judges for one ballot.
And
But
that bears witness to what Kathy was saying. It's set up our system of um I tend to call it disaster capitalism because it's all about disasters and overwhelming ordinary people in order to control them. Uh
yeah,
it's what I have to research this stuff. My God, because you don't know what they're doing. We don't know how these judges what they're deciding on. And some of these judges that I was reading about were horrible. I mean, there's nothing excusable, justifiable in the judgments they were making and how they came. It was just like, they didn't even care themselves.
Right.
They didn't. So I'm like,
And
I couldn't, we like, no, we ain't voting for that one. But that was it. You could vote yes or no. It was not vote for A or B. What is that?
mm.
So that means no punishment for them.
And in the courtroom, when you go to some of these so-called criminal trials, the judges, they act like spoiled kids, and they're so arrogant, or they act like kings. They're really awful, just fucking awful.
Yeah. And they're elected. They're elected. It's a democracy. That's what they
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
but it's really not anything of the people ruling anything. If it was a democracy, it literally would be jury trials, like for everything. And,
Well,
you know, yeah. Well, anyways, um, we did get off a little bit there about focus, but um, maybe we can at least agree to try to have another meeting in a couple months
Yeah, that sounds good.
and revisit because maybe we'll have more information about a contract and we can. I'm hoping eventually that we could recruit a force of retirees who want to protect the pension and want to be active about it and see how they would like to approach this organizationally and I think connecting the retirees with the current workforce would be very beneficial, don't you think?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, you too.
Take care. Bye bye.
Now.
Bye bye.